Hey, if you know, you know. And if you don't, let me tell you about Peanut.
From Mike's mom. Every daily routine consists of him in some sort of way. In the morning, we have breakfast together. This is mine. Give me this. And then when I get home, it's the best thing I could ever ask for. I was walking down the street, poor mom was hit by a car.
I like that peanut.
And as I got closer, little black ball of fuzz crawled up my leg and got home, called as many rehabbers as I could. Anyone I did get a hold of was like, if you bring him here, they're gonna euthanize him. There's really nothing we can do. So I went to it, found myself to make a goat milk formula for him.
He loves it.
The end goal was to get him back to health and release him. And each day he got stronger. He fully recovered, released him, and he took off right when we went outside. And at release day, it was one of the saddest and proudest moments I've ever had. And then I looked through the window and there he was. I opened the door and he ran inside. He's not forced to stay here. I would love him for as long as he keeps me company. I cherish every moment I have with him. He's my best friend. Saved this guy and he saved me in so many ways. I couldn't ask for a better family.
Peanut just a little squirrel. Peanut was rescued. Apparently this guy tried to release him after he raised him, but the guy didn't want to go. Or something, he got hurt or something. And he was missing half his tail. That's all I know. But Lil Peanut was with bro. And then the story is a bunch of people with guns showed up and said, yo, you got a squirrel? Not on my watch. Took him, and well, let's check it out.
Only butter squirrel.
A social media star has been seized by authorities in upstate New York, and his fans are going nuts.
To take Peanut away from my family is not only, heart-wrenching, but then you take it away from the organization that solely gets its funding from social media that requires Peanut to get that funding.
Mark Longo says officers raided his home, taking his pet squirrel, Peanut, and his raccoon, Fred. Longo runs a sanctuary, housing horses, goats, and alpacas, and says he relies on these social media videos to raise money, but it's against New York law to own a wild animal without a license.
So, I guess you need a license, but if I'm not mistaken, this guy was in the process. He was trying to do it or something like that. Let's keep going.
The Department of Environmental Conservation says it received multiple reports about the potentially unsafe housing of wildlife that could carry rabies.
My next step is to be contacted. DEC, the state, nobody has reached out to me to say anything. I don't know if Peanut is alive or they euthanized him.
Longo says he rescued Peanut 7 years ago after its mother got hit by a car, and says Peanut came back after being released.
They brought 8 officers here who ransacked my house for a squirrel and a raccoon.
So apparently these guys showed up rolling deep. They were ready. So let's see.
Armed a day after armed agents swarmed a Pine City home looking for a squirrel and a raccoon, Peanut, the squirrel's owner, has not been told if he's still alive. More than 18,000 people, that's an update just in the last couple of minutes, have signed a petition to free Peanut. Our 18 News reporter Nick Dabina sat down with Peanut's owner today.
Since opening last year, Peanut's Freedom Farm has rescued more than 350 animals. But the future of this sanctuary is now uncertain after Peanut the squirrel was seized by state authorities during a raid at his owner's home.
Did you guys hear that? They've got 350 animals right there. And this animal, Peanut, was the main mascot that was keeping the operation going, the lights on. That sucks.
I don't know where Peanut is. I don't know if he's still alive. I don't know if they euthanized him. I have no idea.
Mark Longo says he was blindsided on Wednesday morning when agents from the State Department of Environmental Conservation came looking for his famous squirrel.
I was just going through my daily routine of feeding all of our 71 rescue horses at our nonprofit animal rescue. Midway through that, a line of DEC officers, about 6 to 8 of them, showed up and gave me a warrant for a squirrel and a raccoon.
The search warrant said Longo was in unlawful possession of wildlife. He says agents ransacked his property for 5 hours until they found Peanut and Fred the raccoon.
We complied. We weren't allowed to move. We were police escorted into the bathroom. Mind you, this is a search warrant for a squirrel and a raccoon. And I feel like this was a little bit of an overkill.
Longo says he was working on the necessary paperwork to be able to legally own Peanut as an educational animal.
To be honest with you, the only thing I want to do is comply with what they want and come up with a solution on how I can keep Peanut. You're not only hurting my family by taking Peanut away from me, but you're also hurting the organization that we started on the back of a rescue squirrel. We named this organization Peanut's Freedom Farm because he has been such a big portion of my life and so many people around the world. You know, we promoted the fact that squirrels are not good pets. They don't deserve to be inside, but there are rare occasions where you stumble on an animal that unfortunately can't survive in their normal habitat. That's the only reason why Peanut was ever a rescue animal.
Are you listening to this man? This man just wants to take care of the animals, just wants to help them, get them back into the wild. There's only sometimes animals are hurt too much and they can't go back fully. Special cases, but that happens all the time. There's conservation places everywhere with that same situation.
Longo says he rescued Peanut 7 years ago in New York City after the squirrel's mom was hit by a car. He says he rehabbed Peanut and tried to release him into his backyard. But Longo says Peanut never developed the instincts to survive outside. After Peanut was attacked by an animal and lost half his tail, Longo let Peanut live in his home.
And then he became best friends with my cat. So that's when we turned to social media. We put some funny and silly videos out there, and the internet loved him. He became the world's most famous squirrel.
Peanut racked up a combined 3 million followers on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. Longo says he believes Peanut's fame led to someone filing a complaint.
I'm no expert in anything involving politics of the state, but they sent 6 to 8 officers to my house from Albany to confiscate a squirrel and a raccoon, and it was signed off on a search warrant. So just that in its sense, to say that is one of the most shocking things I could say, in my opinion, is we just used resources and spent an entire day sitting 2 people who run a nonprofit animal rescue and treat them like criminals while you take the squirrel and the raccoon.
When we saw this, we were all kind of hoping for good news. Wasn't in the cards for this time.
The outrage is growing tonight after New York State authorities euthanized a local squirrel who became a social media star. As we first reported on Wednesday, the Department of Environmental Conservation seized Peanut the squirrel and a raccoon named Fred during an armed raid at Peanut's Freedom Farm in Pine City. This story made national headlines and is still today. Today we learned both animals were put down, and we learned that the Chemung County Health Department was also involved in this. Our 18 News investigative reporter Nick Dabina is here with more, including the emotional reaction from Peanut's owner. Nick?
Hey, Jim. Well, before publishing this story, we called Peanut's owner to ask if he had received any updates on Peanut's fate 2 days after the raid. Mark Longo said nobody told him his animals were put down. Now, we first reported on Peanut last year when Longo started Peanut's Freedom Farm in Pine City after rescuing Peanut 7 years ago. Longo said he found Peanut after his mother was hit by a car. He rehabbed Peanut and tried to release him into his backyard, but Peanut never developed the instincts to survive outside. Longo then let Peanut live inside of his home. Peanut racked up a combined 3 million followers on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Yesterday, Longo told us he was working on the necessary paperwork to legally own Peanut as an educational animal. He says, though, he was blindsided Wednesday morning when DEC agents served a search warrant at his home and took away Peanut. They also took away Fred the raccoon.
My guy was mid-process to make that squirrel an educational animal, and they do that to him.
The statement released to the media says, the Chemung County Department of Health and the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation are coordinating to ensure the protection of public health related to the illegal possession of wild animals that have the potential to carry the rabies virus. On October 30th, DEC said it should seize a raccoon and squirrel sharing a residence with humans, creating the potential for human exposure to rabies. In addition, a person involved with the investigation was bitten by the squirrel. To test for rabies, both animals were euthanized. The animals are being tested for rabies, and anyone who has been in contact with these animals is strongly encouraged to consult with their physician.
Did you just hear the dumbest excuse ever? What they say? Yo, we have to test these things for rabies, and to do that, we gotta kill them. We gotta kill them so we can test them for rabies. I just looked it up. You don't have to kill them. You can after you kill them check for rabies, but you don't have to kill an animal to check for rabies.
Longo says Fred the raccoon was being rehabilitated before being released back into the wild. In an Instagram post this afternoon, Longo and his wife held back tears as they announced Peanut's death.
Hi, everyone. I don't know how I'm gonna say this. I just want to say thank you to all of you. Peanut was the best thing that ever happened to us. And we got confirmation that they put him down. I want to continue to fight this fight, but we need all of you to come together and help us.
Yeah, man. This shit's not cool. Yeah. I don't like it when girls cry like that.
The Longos are now, quote, committed in pursuing legal action against the DEC. Jim.
Nick, you and I reached out to several local lawmakers to try to see if they would have something to say to us about whether or not they were getting involved. A lot of it was crickets. Many weren't interested in saying much of anything.
That's right, Jim. We certainly tried. The only official to say anything so far is New York Congressman Nick Langworthy. He released actually a new statement within the last hour. Langworthy says he is now demanding answers after hearing from many angry constituents who called his office. This statement says, in part, the pet owner has not been afforded due process and now his pets are dead. This action comes today as reports have emerged of an illegal immigrant raping a 5-year-old on Long Island. This demonstrates the Hochul administration's deranged level of misguided priorities. In New York State, we have sanctuaries for illegal immigrants while innocent pets are killed. We reached out to Governor Hochul's office, but we did not hear back. New York Senator Chuck Schumer's office told us it had no comment because this was not a federal matter. We also left a message with Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, but our call was not returned. We also reached out to New York State Senator Tom O'Mara and the Chemung County Health Department. Our requests for comment were not returned. Jim.
Pretty apparent they don't want to say anything. And we just got some new information a little while ago from two friends of the Longo family. The DEC agents that did the raid did not wear body cameras. And they repeatedly questioned the Longos about whether there were any cameras in their home. We also got a copy of the search warrant. A Chemung County judge signed off on it. We're going to attempt to speak with him on Monday. I want to assure all of our viewers we'll keep fighting to get answers about all of this.
Hey, and the same thing counts for me, if not more so. I'll keep you guys posted. I'll let you know. If need be, I'll be out here again with another PSA. Sale.